Hello and welcome. My name is Natty Cash, and welcome to another prediction video. We're going to look at the Champions League playoff qualifications. Um, this is going to be a little bit different because I'm not going to pick specific scores, and I'm also not going to predict just one game. I'm going to predict who out of these playoff qualifiers is actually going to make it into the new Champions League phase. So it's not going to be any scores or things like that. I'm just going to pick specific teams. These are the teams that are going to make it into the Champions League phase. So that looks a little bit different than my other prediction video. So that's kind of the format here, and we'll take a look at each one in turn. So the first matchup that we're going to look at is Dynamo Zagreb versus Qarabag. Now, Dynamo Zagreb has kind of been to a number of Champions League group stages before. Last year, they were at the Conference League and got to the round of 16. But previously, they've had four other campaigns in the last 10 years where they've been in the group stage. So they are experienced at this point. Qarabag is a little bit different in that last year they were a little bit better than where Zagreb was. They got to the round of 16 in the Europa League, but they've only really made one Champions League group stage, and that was in 2017. So there's the experience of Dynamo Zagreb versus Qarabag here. The tough thing here is that Qarabag is going to have the home leg in the second match. And historically, when you look at people traveling out to Azerbaijan, it's a big travel out there, and that can throw teams off, and it's hard to go get results over there. So this one I think is a lot closer than what people would anticipate, and I'm actually going to start off with probably what you would consider a bit of an upset. I'm going to pick Qarabag here to move forward. I think they're a little bit more, just from last year's results, a little bit more ready to jump into the Champions League after the results in the Europa League. And I think they'll just edge out Zagreb and make it into this year's Champions League phase. Next up, we have Bodo Glimt and Red Star Belgrade as the other matchup. Now, this one's always interesting because I'm curious to see the teams that are within mid-season, how they do against teams that are just starting their season. So Bodo Glimt, the Norwegian league, has already passed mid-season at this point. And again, Bodo Glimt is doing well. They're at a point where they're going to win the league again, most likely. And Red Star Belgrade are just starting things up, although they've started well. I think they've won 4 of their first 5 games in their league. And then on the Europe side, Bodo Glimt is actually more new to it. They last year were in the Conference League, but got into the knockout stages from there. Red Star Belgrade were in the Champions League last year and have had previous campaigns, 2 other times that they've been in the Champions League over the last 10 years. And so it's a fine balance of which team do you pick in this scenario. My prediction is that we're going to have Red Star Belgrade move on. They do get the benefit of being at home in the second leg, but I also think that Bodo Glimt, even though they're doing well to be a dominant force in Norway, I think they're still maybe 1 or 2 years away from jumping into a Champions League group phase or league phase, I guess it's what it's called now. So I think Red Star Belgrade is going to move forward, and that's my pick for this matchup. The next matchup is Lille versus Slavia Prague. Lille has done well and actually been able to get into a Champions League. They won the French league, I think it's a couple years ago now. Last year they were in the Conference League and got to the quarterfinals. Slavia Prague, on the other hand, last year were in the Europa League, got to the round of 16, so have done well. And each team has been in and around group stages before. Slavia Prague in 2019, and Lille has done it 2 other times. So again, this could be back and forth. I'm not really sure which direction to go, but my final decision is going to be going with the team that might be coming from a stronger league. Lille did win their first matchup in their league, and Slavia Prague has won 4 out of their first 5 games. I think they drew that last one, so they're undefeated so far. But I am then going to go with Lille in this one to just edge them out and move into the Champions League phase. As we continue down, we now have a big matchup. It's going to be Young Boys versus Galatasaray. Now, both of them have been strong and are big teams within their respective leagues. Young Boys, last year, they were in the Champions League group stage and then actually got third in their group and was able to get into the knockout round of the Europa League. And Galatasaray was able to do the same thing. And both of them, over the last 10 years, have had multiple times where they're in the Champions League. So this is a tough matchup to draw between, because I think one of these two teams is going to be unlucky to make their way into the Europa League as opposed to being able to play in the Champions League. My prediction is going to come down to, I think Galatasaray has done a little bit better of strengthening their squad and looking to be competitive. And I think with also having the home leg in the second leg is going to be really helpful for them. So I am going to pick Galatasaray to be the winner out of this matchup. Our next matchup is between Midtjylland and Slovan Bratislava. Again, this is a tough one because they don't have a big amount of Champions League experience. Well, really, Slovan Bratislava, I don't think has had any Champions League group stage experience, and Midtjylland has only really had one time where they've been in the group stage, which was in 2020. So both of these teams are looking to kind of take the next step in their program. When I take a look at who they've played over the qualifying, I'm not really blown away by who Slovan Bratislava has had to play. Now they are interesting because they have had to go through 3 other qualifying rounds just to get to this point. Maybe their best matchup was against Apoel and won 2-0 on aggregate. But Midtjylland, I think, is a little bit better. They had a win against Ferencváros from Hungary, and I really think that they might be coming in a little bit stronger than Slovan Bratislava. So this is a tight one, another tight one. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this one correct, but I'm going to go with Midtjylland to move on and be in the Champions League phase. Another matchup we have is Malmo versus Sparta Prague. And again, do you look at the team from Malmo going through already midway through their season, or do you take Sparta Prague, who's just starting their season? Malmo has again done well, and they are poised to become the Swedish champs again. Sparta Prague has also started very well, having won all 5 of their first league matchups. So again, this is a tough one to play. When you look at their Europe record, you see Malmo has had more recent Champions League group stage appearances. The last one in 2021, where Sparta Prague hasn't appeared in a group stage since 2005. However, Malmo did not have a European qualifying the year before, and Sparta Prague had got to the Europa League round of 16. They had to beat Galatasaray in a knockout round just to get there, and then eventually lost to Liverpool. So for me, I see Sparta Prague as making that next step and getting into the league phase of the Champions League, the first time they've been at that level since 2005. So that's what I'm going with, Sparta Prague. And finally, our last matchup is between Dynamo Kiev and Red Bull Salzburg. Now, when we look at these two teams, Dynamo Kiev They haven't made a group stage of a competition in the last couple years. They were in the Champions League in 2021 and were in the group stage at that point and had made some group stages in the Champions League before that. But when you compare that to Red Star Belgrade, the difference there is they haven't missed a group stage since, was it 2019? So since 2019, they have been in a Champions League group stage, even one year getting to the round of 16 out of a group. So Red Star Belgrade certainly are the team to beat there. Now, when you look at that some of those times they had a high enough coefficient that they qualified automatically. So that's to their advantage. But in this case, I do believe Red Bull are the team to beat here, and it's going to be hard to beat them, especially when they have the home leg, or the second leg at home. So I am going to pick Red Bull Salzburg to get the victory over Dynamo Kiev to fill in the final spot for the Champions League phase. And there we have it. Those are my predictions. As you see over on this side, Qarabag, Red Star Belgrade, Lille, Galatasaray, Midtjylland, Sparta Prague, and Red Bull Salzburg. Those are my predictions of who's going to move into the league phase, be our final teams in the Champions League phase this year. If you want to put your own predictions in the comments, I'd really much appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully you like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.